Imagine this. You have everything you once dreamed of: the comfortable home, the steady job, the occasional vacations, perhaps even a loving partner, a group of friends, a routine that provides stability. And yet, when you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling in the quiet darkness, something feels missing, a hollowness, an unshakable restlessness. You tell yourself you should be happy. Others have it worse. There's food on the table, a roof over your head, but deep down, an unsettling question lingers. Why does it feel like enough? You chase distractions to silence the unease, scrolling endlessly through social media, numbing yourself with entertainment, seeking validation through achievements. Yet the momentary relief fades and the gnawing dissatisfaction returns, stronger than before. The modern world tells you that happiness is just around the corner: a better job, a bigger house, a more exciting relationship. So you keep chasing, keep climbing, believing that at some elusive point in the future, the emptiness will vanish. But what if it never does? Now consider this paradox. As a species, we have never been more advanced, more connected, or more comfortable. We live longer than our ancestors, have access to boundless information, and can summon almost anything at the touch of a button. And yet, depression, anxiety, and existential despair are at an all-time high. How can a world overflowing with abundance leave us feeling so starved for meaning? Something is wrong, something fundamental, but few dare to question it. Instead, we accept the silent suffering as part of life, convincing ourselves that we are the problem, that we are simply ungrateful, that we need to work harder, that happiness is a personal failure to be corrected. Yet, what if this isn't a failure of the individual, but the entire system we've been conditioned to obey? What if modern life itself is a trap? Ask yourself this. What if happiness, as we understand it, is an illusion? What if the very way we've been taught to seek fulfillment is designed to keep us perpetually unsatisfied? And more disturbingly, what if escaping this cycle means dismantling everything we've ever believed about success, purpose, and the good life? Hold on to that thought, because the answer to why you're never truly happy lies deeper than you think. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. The world you live in is not designed for your fulfillment. It is engineered for your compliance. From the moment you are born, you are fed a script, one that dictates what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, and what you must do to attain it. Study hard, get a degree, find a stable job, buy a house, accumulate wealth, retire comfortably. This is the blueprint of a good life, handed down without question. But who decided this? And more importantly, why does it so often lead to dissatisfaction rather than contentment? To understand this, we must look beyond the surface, into the depths of human psychology and philosophy. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow self, the repressed parts of our psyche that society forces us to bury. Nietzsche warned against the herd morality, where individuals sacrifice their authentic selves in exchange for collective approval. Arthur Schopenhauer went further, arguing that life is an endless cycle of desire and suffering. When one need is satisfied, another emerges, trapping us in perpetual longing. But perhaps the most haunting insight comes from Aldous Huxley, who foresaw a world where people would not be controlled by force, but by pleasure, instead of oppression. We would be pacified by distractions, conditioned to crave what keeps us subservient. And so, we are sold an idea of happiness that is forever just out of reach, always requiring the next purchase, the next milestone, the next upgrade, not because it will fulfill us, but because it keeps the system running. The result? A generation of people who feel lost despite doing everything right, who wonder why happiness never feels permanent, who sense that something is missing, but cannot define what. The issue is not that we are incapable of happiness, but that we have been conditioned to seek it in ways that ensure we never truly find it. And yet, the consequences of this deception run even deeper than you realize. Because this is not just about personal dissatisfaction. It is about a society built on a lie that shapes our decisions, our relationships, and the very way we see ourselves. The next time you feel that inexplicable emptiness, do not ask what you are lacking. Ask who benefits from your discontent, because once you see the answer, you may never look at the world the same way again. It starts small, a quiet dissatisfaction, an unspoken yearning for something you can't quite name. But over time, this feeling festers. It shapes the choices you make, the relationships you build, the way you see yourself. And before you realize it, the consequences of this invisible trap seep into every corner of your existence. Your mind, conditioned by a world that profits from your discontent, begins to betray you. Neuroscience reveals that chronic dissatisfaction alters the brain's reward system, making true contentment harder to sustain. Each fleeting moment of joy is overshadowed by the need for more. This is a dopamine treadmill, a cycle where pleasure is momentary, but craving is perpetual. You don't enjoy things for their own sake. You consume them to fill a void that was placed there by design. But this is bigger than you. Look around. Notice the epidemic of loneliness. Despite unprecedented connectivity, notice the rising rates of anxiety and depression. Despite the promise of modern comfort, notice how people chase wealth, status, and validation, only to find themselves emptier than before. This is not a coincidence. It is the architecture of a system built to ensure that you always feel like you are one step away from happiness, but never quite there. This unquenchable yearning doesn't just affect individuals. It shapes entire societies. Nations are governed by the pursuit of economic growth, regardless of the human cost. Corporations thrive on exploiting your insecurities, manufacturing needs you never had, selling you solutions to problems they created. Even relationships are tainted by this mindset. Partners are evaluated like commodities, friendships measured by utility, self-worth determined by external validation. And so, the world spirals further into dissatisfaction, more consumption, more distraction, more emptiness masquerading as progress. The promise of happiness is dangled before you like a carrot on a stick, always just beyond reach, ensuring that you keep running, keep working, keep believing that the next milestone will bring fulfillment. But it never does. The cycle ends when you refuse to play the game. Breaking free does not mean rejecting happiness. It means redefining it. It means stepping away from the illusion that happiness is something you must chase. It is not found in wealth, status, or validation. It is not something given to you by the world. It is something you cultivate within. The first step is awareness. To see the trap is to loosen its grip. The next step, radical self-reliance. To build a life based on intrinsic fulfillment, rather than external approval. True contentment comes not from acquiring more, but from needing less. Happiness was never missing. It was only hidden, buried beneath layers of conditioning, distractions, and false promises. The truth is simple yet radical. You were never meant to find happiness in the external world. It was within you all along. Once you realize this, you are free.